Just stay with
You're
me.
live. Also, it looks like it's working. So we fixed your
Right.
internet issue, and you're live. So
Okay, sorry about that. Right, I'll cut you off. Right, guys, sorry about that. I had technical problems there. For some reason, my hub decided to mess about and all sorts of problems there. So I do apologise. I hope Laura can hear me. And I do apologise to Laura for inviting her on and then having this technical problem. But again, we all probably have these technical issues and problems. So hopefully Laura's still there. I'm going to send her a message just to let her know I'm here. I was going to invite James and Lauren. I've got 6 participants. Let's have a look and see what's happening in the participants. I've got Laura. Let me see if I can get Laura in. Make moderator. Remove from co-host. She's already co-host. So there's nothing I can do about that. James Isaacs. I'll see if I can get James in as well. We can do something with the show. What's left of it? Invite as co-host. Right, I'll see if I can get James as well. Right, I've just come out to James. James, I'll come in to you in a minute. Let me just try one thing. Yeah, I apologise, James. I've had all sorts of problems with the internet. My hub decided to go down right at the bang on, I think, 8 o'clock. I don't know if you even got live or not. And then it started to swirl. I've had to switch everything off and reboot it. Don't even go there.
Anyway, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, mate.
Yeah, and they want us to put all our information online as well. You know what I mean? And you've got all these things.
Right, so I've just sent Laura a message. Hopefully she can get in. She's muted at the moment. I can see you. I've got Laura Nina's going to join us if she can come on. She's brilliant. Right, so me. It's all going wrong, isn't it? Big talk now. Going to go and smash the screen next. Right, so let's see if we can do anything about Laura. If view gallery speakers, I don't know, full screen. I don't know what's going on. Right, so let me go in there. Laura's there. She's in the chat. Let me go to show. Just write a message in here. Sorry, guys. So guys, I went offline. Back. Yeah. Hey guys. Right. Yeah. Right, so good evening to everybody. Just going to say hello to Charles, to Roy, James. Laura's obviously gone out and not come back in, so I don't know what's gone on. I don't know if we'll have to deal with us tonight. And James, I thought it would be interesting because Laura is doing brilliant. If you look her up on Facebook, she's absolutely smashing it all over the place. She's doing some good stuff, working with some good people, and doing some really, really good interviews out there. And she's doing a brilliant job. I actually like the woman, and I think she's a true speaker, and really enjoy watching some of her. We don't get time to watch everybody because there's a lot of hosts on Wake Up. I make an effort of watching Charles and Delroy every Tuesday, but not everybody gets a chance. I mean, Charles is in most weeks when I'm on. But some of the other hosts don't get time to watch other hosts who watch themselves, if that makes sense. But and it's all about, you know, liaison and working with each other and working with your chat room. So, yeah, sorry, guys, about the technical problems, but to switch everything off and start again, it's a nightmare. It's 24 minutes past 8, and I do apologise. James, all I can do is apologise to you, mate, and I just don't know what to say other than techno issues. Laura is, I don't know what's happening, so I think she's still in
she's there, but muted. She's muted.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think my computer is correct. Right, so where is... I can't see her in there now. I've got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, she's not in on there. It's got a picture up, but I don't know why. So, yeah, you've been putting a lot of stuff in the comments, and you add quite a lot of stuff. You've heard the news today, the vote in Parliament. I don't know if it's gone through or it's going through at the moment on this Rwanda deal. The trouble is, we had another, what is it, 300 arrive today. We can't sustain this. It's just too ridiculous. There are people waiting 10 hours for an ambulance. There are people waiting 22 hours at A&E. You know, there's people that can't heat or eat. You know, it's really crazy what's going on. Laura might be in now. Laura, you there? You there, Laura? Make moderator. What does that mean? Move, mate. Laura, you there?
She's muted.
I don't know why she's muted. You got a mute underneath you, Laura. If you can see the mute button underneath, just hit that mute button underneath your screen where your name is. There's a mute, a camera, end stream button, a hand up. Just hit that microphone and it come on. So it's just down there. There's a microphone. Click that and you should come on. She's gone off, so she's having all sorts of problems getting on and off. I don't know. So anyway, without further ado, yeah, all this rubbish is going on, and like I was talking on Delroy's show last night, because I get infuriated with all these inquiries, and the government turn around and say lessons have been learned. It's the same old chestnut. They use the same old whipping stick all the time about lessons have been learned, lessons have been learned. But nothing gets done about it. We're talking about these grooming gangs going on probably 40 years, probably longer. I don't know how long it's been going on. And it's crazy when I look back at old footage and old films and places that were to places to what they are now. And, you know, there's shops closing down. The whole place is completely a shambles. Our high streets are completely going. And I think I've heard today Morrison's are in trouble now. So that's another one that's probably going to go next. And then in the end, what's going to be left? You know, you look at what's happening in Ireland or Canada or Germany and France and places like that. And the farmers, I think, have linked together, France and German farmers, have just said enough is enough. You know, what was I watching a clip earlier on where there's some guys in a Canadian restaurant. They went into the restaurant, they paid their money, so they paid for their food. They got served, so the restaurant actually not only did they pay, but they gave them the food to eat. Then the police were called and asked them to leave because they didn't have their passport vaccines. Laurie, she's there.
I have no idea what's happened. I wasn't muted. It's been a nightmare.
Tell me about it, because at the end of the day, I went live. I was sitting in the back room, and I was tweaking and that, and I thought I'm just going to put a little something on because I wanted to put. A good friend of mine is John Wedger, and people, whether you like him or you don't, but we're going to get it. Laura gets it, I get it, everybody gets it. And I've known John donkey's years, and we've done a lot of podcasts with him, done a lot of work with Sean Atwood, so on and so forth. And I've known him for a long, long time. Now, the Rochdale scandal that came out this week, fuming. When I saw Andy Burnham standing at that podium speaking as if he was on a fucking glory trail, as if he made it happen, when 10 years ago he was sitting in his office, he knew full well about what was going on with these Rochdale grooming gangs and did nothing about it at all. It was the likes of Maggie Oliver and John Wedge that made that. Maggie Oliver was taken to the cleaners by Greater Manchester Police. John Wedge was thrown under the bus with the Metropolitan Police. He was too successful at his job, and it led back to here. And at the end of the day, Krishana Dick, who was thrown under the bus, his boss at the time turned around and said to him, John, you got to shut up. In actual fact, their terminology, or probably one of the guys turned around and said, John, shut the fuck up. You're getting too close to home. So otherwise, their heads would have rolled. So they weren't worried about John's job. They were worried about their own. And it's the same old chestnut. We've banged this drum so many times. And Maggie Oliver and the likes of John, there are other people that made this inquiry come to light. And Maggie Oliver has been brilliant at this with the children and so on and so forth. And I think at one stage she got in so much trouble there were guys criticising John about the John Wesley Foundation and where all the money was going, blah blah blah, and he was pocketing his bit. He actually gave her, I think it was £10,000 towards her expenses. But people don't know all the ins and outs, Laura. They don't know the full facts. They come out and they think, oh yeah, once a copper, always a copper. He works for MI6. He's the grass. He's this. He's that. He's the other. And they just don't see the light of day. And Paul, you've had your stick. I've had my stick. James, you've got to have some of that yet. It's got to probably fall in your lap before now. Let me introduce you. This is James, Laura, James, Laura.
Hi, James.
Hi. Nice to meet you,
James
Laura.
has put some really, really good stuff in the Wake Up chat. Now, you'll remember this. You can go into the chat at any time and see what the guys are putting in there. You can put stuff in yourself. You can share some of your videos and you can do bits and pieces because you're actually a member of Wake Up UK. So it's interesting, some of the stuff you do and some of the guests, you're getting really, really good at some of the stuff you're doing and getting some bloody good guests on. I don't know how you're doing it, but you're attracting some of the people that you're getting. I'm sitting and I'm going, what the fuck's he talking about?
Like which
And it's
one?
going-
Let's have which one? Let's have a discussion.
Going straight over my head sometimes.
Yeah, it's had.
Sounds like me.
I've had a few guests where it's taken me a few interviews to actually understand what they're trying to say. But yeah, it's interesting. It's all a learning journey.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is one for the. And like when I went on last night, when I said to Delroy when he was doing his live stream last night, and Delroy's right up your street, Laura, because he's in alignment with you. He talks about the stars, the Sister Vitae, and everything. Delroy is so on it, and Charles is in the chat with us, well, who does the stream with Delroy on a Tuesday. The guys are so awake. And I did a lot of work with Charles, and Charles actually and Delroy saw my childhood abuse records. So the guys know that I am genuine because they have actually been hands-on and seen everything that's written in black and white. I've never really had any troubles. There are going to be people out there that think they're better than you, that are going to make or try to make you look something that you're not because they feel their ego is probably bigger than everybody else's.
Yeah.
And that's what I say about that one. And there are a few people, we fall into the spider's web where we think the people are all right, and then they turn on you. And I don't know why, it's almost a predatory instinct.
Yes.
And I don't know why. I really don't know why. Well, we should be all coming together and all fighting together and all come as one and sort these buggers out. Really, they're laughing behind us and saying, we don't need to do anything. They will destroy themselves within.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they're very. The people that we are dealing with are extremely advanced and extremely intelligent. You know, they've had absolute years to get these plans on the way. They're super masterminds. So we are dealing with people that are truly very, very clever. And it's not your governments, it's not your MPs, politicians, FBI, MI5. It's not any of them. It's people that we wouldn't even know who they are, that are pulling the strings and making everything work. So we're always going to be, I believe, in a way, playing on catch up until one day we're all just going to wake up, and I think that's when the true power comes in. And at the moment, we're waking up. Many of us are waking up, but the problem is we're on a journey of self-discovery, and I'm on a journey where I question everything. I don't care what it is. I question everything, and everything is there to be questioned because everything that we have been presented with is a lie. And when I say everything, I've offended many people because I've gone down different roads, different journeys, different everything. But if my gut says to me something's not right, it needs to be questioned. We're being lied to about everything. And, they're not going to be selective, in my opinion, and go, well, we're not going to lie to you about, that, but we will lie to you about this. No, they're going to just confuse us with everything and hide the truth in amongst the lies. And that's what my journey is. And I've always said to people, if you want to join my journey of, asking questions, then join me. I'm going to talk to different people, ask these different questions, but one day I believe we're all going to get to a point, maybe not all of us, quite a lot of us are going to get to the point where we are waking up. And I've said this a couple of times on my chats. If you, when you're asleep and you are dreaming, while you're in that dream, that is your reality. And if you didn't wake up from that dream, that would be your permanent reality. And it's real. How many times have you woken up and gone, oh my God, that dream felt so real. You felt the pain, the tears, the anger, the hurt. You felt all of it. You experienced all of it. Well, my theory is, I believe we are living in a dreamlike state in this reality. Yeah. And we are now starting to wake up and realizing that we are also able to control our reality in this world. And the only way we are going to get to a situation where we're all fully going to be able to control our dream, our reality here, which is by waking up and working on a different frequency, a different energy, is that's going to be when the veil gets lifted, and people's consciousness will come back to their reality, and that's to me when the people, some people talk about Christ coming back. To me, the Christ consciousness is when we all wake up and realize this is just a dream.
I don't know if you guys, James and Laurie, you can actually see, if at the bottom of your screen, just below you guys, there's a microphone for if there's any background noise or somebody comes in on your family or whatever the case might be, or there's a problem, there's a microphone below. You can mute that and click it to come on and off if something happens behind you or if the noise is in your background, James, or whatever. And then your camera, I'll come to you in a minute, James, honestly. And the camera next to it is if you want to show your face or not, if you want to name anonymous. And then if you keep going over, you'll see the participants and just a little bubble next to this chat. And Sophie's brilliant. I think she should have a show on Wake Up because she's absolutely brilliant. I'm always blowing her trumpet, and I think she's absolutely really, really good. A nice person as well. And she put, questions are good, answers are welcome. We have found that, get different answers depending on where you look. And that is virtually what Laura just said.
You do. And what I find is the more you question, it will take you on a journey of different answers. Absolutely right, because that's what we want. And, I've used this example many times. Your journey is like you're throwing a 1,000-pound piece jigsaw puzzle on the table, and then you've got to put it all together. And so what happens is that with all the answers you get, you've got to go with your gut instinct. You've got to go with what your inner self says. And the truth is, none of us really know anything as a fact. The only thing we can say is a fact is what we are presented with right now at this given moment in this given time. Yeah. So, I know for a fact what I see, what I experience, what I feel. But, someone said unless I see it with my own eyes and even then, some people say, oh, but I saw, I'll give you an example. I saw Jesus. No, you didn't. You saw an image of Jesus that you have been presented with from the day you were born. If you'd never watched telly in your whole life, never read a book in your whole life, you wouldn't know what Jesus looks like. So again, that's not a fact. So we always have to be open to learning more, to being open to the fact that we don't know what is a fact. We're in this world that we actually don't know what it is. The only thing we know is that we're being suppressed and we've got people trying to control us and kill us and whatever. Yeah. But the journey of self-discovery is like putting a puzzle together. It takes you on different routes. You find different answers, and then eventually you start putting the pieces together, and that's when you come with your puzzle.
I like the way you put that. I like the way you said that. If you look in the chat, if you can see the chat and look in the chat, if you see something that you want to answer on, be my guest. I like to interact with the chat room because they're part of the show. It's not just about me.
Of course.
Yes, the chat is quite important. You have to keep your eye on it. So every now and then you'll probably see eyes wandering over to our glimpse and see what's going on. Good evening, Spear. I've just seen Spear in there as well. I'm just going to bring James in because I haven't given James a chance to answer. You listen to what Laura said so far, James, and with the way you think, it gets just a little bit of insight. I actually like the way that Laura put that. You're given an image, right, and you'll see an image on television or whatever the case might be. But that doesn't mean to say Jesus actually looks like anything or any of the images they actually portray on whatever the case might be, whether it be diagram or visual or video or whatever the case might be. What I would say is I look at two things, right and wrong, right? I believe there's a right and there's a wrong way of going about things or doing things, right? It's wrong to abuse children, and my main ethic from being a survivor is to help and save the children. Our children are our future, our children are tomorrow. But the way things have gone in is everything. You can go right across the board. If I turn around now and watch the turn around with this T-shirt on, the PCP girls are campaigning to stop the sexualisation of our children aged 3 years of age in the schools. And what's been going on in Wales, and with this filming and doing stuff at Stradey Park and so on and so forth. And Laura knows because she's been out there with a camera herself and she's been boots on ground. And she's like myself. She goes in front of the camera and she goes behind it. But if I don't know if this will work, when I turn around, don't know if you can see that. Can you see it?
Oh yes, yeah. It's not education, not indoctrination.
Yeah. So that is, I think, very, very poignant. And like I liked what you just turned around and said about the Jesus thing. I thought that was quite actually poignant and real life fact. James, just give us a little insight. You've heard Laura say a few things. You've seen a few things in the chat. Just, what do you think?
You know, I can understand where Laura is coming from, but I look at it from a Christian, a biblical perspective, and it's quite a big thing. You know, I mean that Bible, supposedly written thousands of years ago. I don't dispute the fact that it might have been dabbled with, but if you look at Revelations, you'd swear they wrote the book. The people that are taking us down this path,
Yes.
But you've got to believe. Where I find that, this is why we can't win, because we're too split. We're too divided. We need to come under the same umbrella. And and if you look back on history, when we booted God out of our church, out of everywhere, this is what has been created. That's how it's come about. And the evil has been allowed to be brought in, because it isn't it's evil against good here. You've got to look at it from a spiritual perspective. It depends on what spirit you're talking about. Now, even me, I tackle people about calling God God, because God isn't his name. God is a title. It's a man title. And it says in the Bible there, they will know me by my name. Now, what is his name? His name's Yahuwah.
Yeah.
YHWH.
Yeah.
And, people are, when you go to church and you pray to a God, which God are you praying to? There's many gods that have been through. There's some God, sun God. You know what I mean? I even celebrate because it says, keep my commandments. I even celebrate a Saturday as my Sabbath. And I go and share time with people, fellow Christians in church on a Sunday. But I talk to them about it. And I said to them, why are we calling these people by their proper names? Lord is a title as well. I mean, Jesus is a man-made name deriving from Joseph. Or Isis or something. There was no J in the vocabulary in those days. So we've made a name called Jesus from Greek, and that. So do we know Jesus as he is? You know what I mean? His name's Yeshua, and Yeshua stands for God saves. So that links him with God, because it says that God came down in human flesh, incarnated. And what happened? He got killed. But he got killed for our sins. And what happens is if we believe in that, then all of our sins get forgiven. You know, this is the way I've read the Bible. I haven't read the whole damn thing. Gee, some of it's quite brutal. But, you know, the thing is, and he rose beating death. It was God coming down to create another covenant with us. He knew, he had learned that if he didn't do that, he'd have to kill us all, you know, because we're born into sin. So unless we repent, we will never get to heaven. And going on heaven, people say, well, why do you think that? Hey, man, what else am I going to think of? Where am I going when I do pass away? You know, when I eventually pass away, where am I going? I might as well get behind this whole lot and believe with the aspects of going to a better place. You know, and that's how I see it.
I'm going to hang on. I have to come in every now and then, James, because I'm looking at the time, so on and so forth, and we've only got so much time to squeeze everything in. Now, I'm going to let Laura see what she thinks or what you turned around and said. Now, I can look at it at a different kind of angle in the sense that I hear what you're saying, I understand.
Yeah.
And we had this discussion about, you know, colonialism years ago when Zimbabwe was Rhodesia. You had an experience in South Africa. It's not the same now for the white farmers as it was, so on and so forth. And we know about the titles from the colonialism of Ceylon, Sri Lanka, and Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, and all that stuff. But when you was talking like you was talking, it's very, very interesting, actually, from that perspective. And I want Laura to come back on that as well. But at the end of the day, when I was in Beachhome, in the children's home, I was forced to go to church. I had to go to church or I got beaten. Now, I didn't want to go and pray to God forcibly, if that makes sense. Now, we were forced to go to church twice, dress up in a Sunday outfit and go to church twice on a Sunday because we was forced by our so-called carers who put us in harm's way in state welfare. I look at it a different aspect in the side of why should I pray to somebody when I needed them, when I was being beaten and abused and had carbolic soap rammed in my face and my eyes, and I was being brutally abused in the bathrooms or the torture chambers as I called them. When I prayed, where was my saviour then? And yeah, you can say and we can say whatever we like at the end of the day, but you can look at from other. Look, there's always more than one answer to anything, and we have to ask the answers to get the questions, or we've got to ask the questions so I get the answers. I've got to bring Laura back in because I'm not going to rant and rave on like I normally do, because Laura's got so much to offer. James, you've got so much to offer. It's kind of a really, really interesting meeting, and like minds coming together. I'm going to let Laura come back in and see what she made of what you said, because I think what you said was interesting. When I listen to Laura, I find her very interesting. It's just strange.
I'm on the path where I think religion is one of the biggest divisive subjects on the planet. I think it's been created to divide us. Everyone thinks their God is the right God. I think the Bible has been manipulated, but I do not believe that the Bible is the word of God, but I do believe that the Bible has got some very important messages within the scriptures. And the reason that it's very hard for me to, say that the Bible's the word of God is because it's been translated. And it's been translated over and over again. But I speak 2 languages, and I know that when you translate something from one language to another, especially that big, you will lose the energy flow, you will lose the meaning, and you won't even find the right words. Sometimes I'm screaming at the telly because I'm watching something being translated. I'm like, no, that's not the word. That's not the right word, because I know that it's not the right meaning. The other thing is, like I said, we've been lied to, so that I don't believe for 1 minute that they want us to know the truth as to who we are. And, they've made us believe that we should believe in blind faith. Now, your faith should be your connection internally, not externally. I do believe the Bible has got some very important messages, but it's not, it cannot be read literally, because if you take the Bible literally, then a lot of it doesn't make sense. I think we have to break the Bible down for what it's really trying to tell us. And that can take a long time because we won't all have the eyes to see, you
I like
know.
what Roy's just put into the chat as well. Religion is about control.
It is about control. Absolutely. It's another form of control. It's another form of divide. It's another form of let's keep them busy arguing. The truth for me is we are all light. We are all energy. We are all here. And what you said, and I can relate to that too from my own personal experience, it's when people say about God, where was God when I needed him as a child? Where was God when you needed him as a child?
Yeah.
You know, because if God existed, why did I have to suffer? Why do all the children? So there is this argument.
Exactly
So
right.
I personally believe that we have a creator. I will not dispute that. I absolutely believe we were created. By who or what, I can't tell you. This is my journey of self-discovery. But what I do know is that this is what you may call a dog-eat-dog world. It's a rat race, you know. It's the survival of the fittest. It's an IQ test. And we have a body.
Metaphors come into play.
Yeah, we have a body, and we use this body to have this journey, this experience in this life. And whatever you are experiencing will either make you or break you, and it will either you will become better or bitter as you age, and you're either here to suffer for a purpose, or suffer and keep digging your own grave, because if you're suffering for a purpose, that means the purpose is to help others. And I think that's what many people need to do the internal work to decide what their purpose here is. We need to have that life experience. We need to experience all the feelings, the sadness, the hurt, the pain, the happiness, the joy, the love, to understand other people. So I think all this is there for a reason. And ultimately, when we realize that there's a lot we shouldn't be arguing about, we're all on our personal journey, because the only people we need to connect with are like-minded people that want the same mission, which is the balance restored, and you know, the children protected.
Well,
and
could you imagine the world if we all followed the Ten Commandments?
equally, could you imagine the world if there was never any bad doing in the world? We need the balance.
That's exactly what the Ten Commandments guides you on.
But it wouldn't. Yeah, but then I don't believe to a degree that you would experience life to the fullest, because you'd get bored. Because we're creatures, we're creators. We like to create things. So if we...
Oh, you mean we won't be able to sin?
We learn from our mistakes. You know, even to sin is to learn. You can't go... No, if someone went through life absolutely perfect and lived their life, you know, from day one you were born, you're born into the perfect life, it would be the most boring life ever. You wouldn't understand people, because the only thing you can understand is how you should live. And if I have to live like that, I'm not experiencing anything else. And I know I've sinned. If I have sinned, of course, if the Bible, I think I'm quite a good sinner considering. But because of my sins, yeah.
Keep your eyes on the chat, guys, because there's some interesting stuff going in there. Sophia's on it tonight.
If we help ourselves, as we know that if peace is within, then it's without. Exactly. The more you sin, and the more you do the inner work, and the more you self-reflect, the more you learn, and we become teachers. And we help other people, because then we can understand each other, and that's where we connect. You can
see, James, you can see the liking I have for Laura, because I just love the way she comes across. It's kind of like a natural ebb with Laura. What you hear is what I like. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
I'm not here preaching. I'm just giving you an understanding of what I think.
I know where you've been, and I know what it's like. And the world. I don't think the world is far from perfect. You know, you could be born into the perfect world. You could be born into a perfect life, but it doesn't mean to say it is fundamentally perfect, because we all make mistakes. regardless. It's whether we can correct their mistakes enough to go on that straight and narrow, because some of us can't. Some of us, the damage, physically, psychologically, and mentally, things happen in life that stay with you in life.
They do.
See, all these things that we do that are incorrect and we learn from, you know, we've got to find some sort of relief valve so we don't dwell on it. So, so when you're praying at night for the end of the day and giving thanks and repenting your sins, you're now going to sleep. You relax while you're sleeping. You wake up in the morning and you thank the Creator for another day. And please, you know, if Jesus can walk before me or the angels and clear the way for me and make my way a lot better during the day, you know, it's just asking for something that
But
you
it's
want
lovely,
positive.
James.
And that makes you positive, you see.
James, that's a lovely perspective that you put on it. I love the way that you put that on it because it has so much realism to it. And I love the way that Laura says it and puts it across because both of you are right. I might be the crazy one, you know. Laura speaks two languages, I speak two languages, and I speak English and rubbish.
Yeah. You know, Laura is the same on the same key, except she calls the Creator. Yes, he is our Creator, but he's got a name, Yahuwah.
I don't know that, you see, because
you know, God is a title. God is a title.
Absolutely. But I don't know that his name is what you say it is, because all I know is that's been written in a book and it's been written by man.
And so
to me, exactly. And that's why the only reason that we call him God is because that's a neutral name for everyone to understand who we're talking about. But for me, it's a divine, the divine spirit. It's not, you know, I can't give it a name because it's everything. It's everything. It's the air. It's just.
Let me put something to both of you.
That's what the Bible says. That he's everything.
James,
he is a woman. He is male and female. He is energy. He's light. He's you know, he's frequencies, vibrations, everything. So
we're on the same wavelength. We're on the same wavelength, but you know, I'm referring to the Bible a bit because whatever the Bible has said has come true. You know what I mean?
James,
my thing with
just come in a minute, guys. Let me just come in. So, if this place behind me, Westminster, right?
Westminster,
if that was a church, where did the sinners go?
Well, they are all the sinners, aren't they? Yeah, but the thing is, they are
churches. The church of Satan.
Yeah, and you know that, in fact, because I do like to listen to religious preachers, and I was listening to this one guy who made so much sense, and he said actually a lot of the religions are praying to Satan, if you like, because their churches are built on burial grounds, and the altar has, especially the biggest churches, they've got bones of the dead people under the altar, so like a famous priest or a famous king or something, and they pray above the altar with the bones underneath. Well, that is actually a ritual. That goes against God. All churches are places of business.
Religion is the problem. Believing isn't
Absolutely.
the problem.
Absolutely.
It's religion that's the problem. You know, I go across the church over here on Sundays at times, and you know, and I said to them, why aren't you addressing who you call God by his true name, our Creator? Why aren't you addressing him? You could say God Yahuwah, you know what I mean, or Father Yahuwah, and these we are identifying which one we are praying to, because we don't know who we're praying to if you just put God.
How did you survive, James, in as I know it, Zimbabwe under Mugabe and his strict rule? I mean, how long was you actually? How long was you there, and how long have you been back in the UK? Because you have, I know we touched on this before. You can still hear your accent very, very strongly.
I lived under Smith for 24 years, and then I lived under Mugabe for 25 years.
Wow.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
and
the
he
human,
something else, wasn't he?
that's the thing about the human being. Without realizing they're changing, you see. And this is what happened in Zimbabwe, and this is what's happening here. People are drip feeding and just chewing away at your rights, your inalienable rights to be free. And this is what they do. They drip feed. Although Mugabe worked a bit quicker, but you know, I lived under that 25 years, and quite honestly, the only problems that we had were created by the BBC and the British government. That's where the problem was.
Mm.
But even before that, we were doing even better because we had Mazurewa and Smith working together, and they were learning the ropes on how to run a country. And like I said last time on the last chat, I met the pilot that that admitted to throwing all the ballots on Mazurewas in the sea. You know, if he didn't win, why are they throwing ballots in the sea?
There's a good chat coming across. Royce just put in there. Paul Venner's ex-chief executive of the post office, is a preacher. Funny how you talk on something, or your subjects matters. You talk on something, and then that comes into what we've seen with the series of the post office on the television. How that's come about, and how the inquiries go about. What I find, there is so much wrong with this country. It's been like it's been waiting for a very, very long time, and you know they can spend so much money on this place behind there. You know, I look at things, and whether I'm right or wrong, and I think we can police the Red Sea, but we can't police the English Channel. And I just think
it's all done by design.
Well, Alan,
you know that. Sorry, carry on. No,
Maybe.
he's talking about that Westminster. You know, at the end of the day, it's a building. It means nothing to me. And that can be their place of worship, where all these underworld creatures meet up, the dead, worshipping in a it means nothing. It's us, the people.
If you go down, it's the satanic end.
Absolutely, So I just think let them carry on in these buildings. I'm not one to say we need to get them out. The building means nothing.
Yeah. You know, I've watched Gordon Bowden, the late Gordon Bowden, and how he uncovered a lot of things that were happening. I mean, David Cameron going to South Africa, buying 3 nuke heads, and then they disappear. I mean, that's David Cameron. And I still got the video. I've saved it now because I struggled to find it. But
they're all like that. James, you can talk about the 10 billion that went missing under Boris Johnson. They've all got their hands in the pocket. All they got their hands in the till.
And Cameron tried it.
It's like Rishi Sunak and his wife and the 21 billion that's gone missing there. Oh, is it strange that she's got offshore investments around the world? It's just so corrupt.
Isn't it strange that he's invested into that gas field just off Gaza?
Yeah.
And wasn't it strange?
In West Bank.
If you watched the live I done with Lucas Gage the other night, the one thing he said, because he's ex-US Marine, and they went out to Iraq, and at the time this was just after, it wasn't long after 9/11, so 2000.
That's another story.
Yeah, but what he did see, they were meant to be protecting the people. It didn't happen. They were just, but he saw vans with carrying oil. He realised that the government was lying.
Well, when you look at the so-called government, I wouldn't say it's our government because it's not my government really. No. I'm standing in lawful.
Not anybody's government, I don't think.
I've sent letters off to the Baron declaring myself in under Article 61 and things like that, common law, because those are God's laws: no loss, no harm, no injury. Sorry to throw that one back in.
Well, law
it's
law believes in a common law, I'm sure.
Yeah. So when you look at them, I'm not so sure about the truth behind this, because I haven't heard much since. I picked up on an article or a video where they were claiming that the UK had thrown sanctions on Russia for gas and that. What is
I don't
that?
know if
What
you
is
can.
that?
I don't know if you can see that, right? So
What, your
I'm on
letters?
the
that
way.
you're-
I have a thing about lettered Windows envelopes. I hate it.
Yeah.
Right now, they've all been stamped, right? Mail fraud, and they're talking about common law and constitutional law and what we sign up to. Now, I believe in the Universal Postal Union, and part of a convention law about mail fraud. All that windowed envelope is all commerce, right?
Yeah.
It's all
Of course it is.
commercial, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, they're all they're in it for is money out of you. It's all mail fraud. It's not the Regina or Rex as it is now. The stamp as we know it, that is Royal Mail as I know it. All this
Right.
is
Well, let
commerce.
me finish what I was saying. Now I heard a story that these guys, they're throwing sanctions on Russia and are buying the gas through India.
Mhm.
And India buys from Russia. So, I mean, what's the story? We're paying a middleman. That's why our
Yeah.
prices have gone up. Or maybe they're getting it direct. We just don't know these days. That's how much of a bunch of liars those are in there.
It's like most conflicts, what you see or will go on in the world, there is another agenda. There's more to it than meets the eye. I've heard, whether it be true or not, the Israelis want to build another canal. You've got the Suez Canal, and you can
Yeah.
only bring one ship one way
Mm.
for 6 hours, and then they let the other ships go the other way for 6 hours. They want to build a canal that can fit ships both ways, 24/7 through the Gaza.
But
That's why they're
A
bombing
rock
there.
formation, and it's not sand and moves and so on. It has to be drenched all the time. It's more solid. They can make it wider. They can make it deeper, and it's worth absolutely billions upon billions.
Yeah, but Alan, that's in the north. That's in the north of Palestine. It's not really through Palestine or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's up in the north. So there is that they're using as an excuse or a reason or whatever. But I'm sure the oil and the gases, there's nothing on the religious factor, because they used to live as neighbors, these people, Muslims and
Yeah.
Jews.
Why did we fight the Falklands War in
But it's not the
1972?
Jews, it's the Zionists.
1982.
Absolutely.
The Falklands War,
It's a hidden hand.
these Arctic resources are phenomenal.
Mm.
It's a
You're
hidden
absolutely
hand.
right, James. You're absolutely right. It's the Zionists. It's the
It's the Zionists. And I
The-
just put a video up on
ideology,
on the news feed there. You listen to that guy and what how they showing what the Jews are actually up to.
Mm.
You know, I'm not. Listen, I don't mind Jews. I don't mind Palestinians. I don't mind anybody.
Yeah.
But hey, let's get to the truth here. Let's find out what's what. That's why even I question, why isn't Germany being allowed to defend itself? Why aren't we hearing from the German side? Why we only listen from the victory side? Because if you go onto BitChute, you can pick up on a video called Hellstorm, and you
Yes,
listen
right.
to that. It's done by British people, the directors in it, and they go through what the German side, and you'll see it. I prefer to look at two stories and then put them together and say, right, what's cooking here? And that's what but you're not
the
allowed
live
to-
that we done. You're not allowed to talk about it. The live I done the other night with that Lucas Gage was talking about exactly what you're talking about. He is being censored everywhere because he is calling out the problem and who's leading this, and it is that Z, the big Z, shall we say. And I came across him and he was playing a video in his Telegram channel, and it was, the guy with the tash, yeah? I don't think we're allowed to say his name, yeah? The little black tash,
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about,
yeah.
in Germany. And
The
he was
socialist.
playing a video. And so there was subtitles to the video, and everything he was saying was what we are experiencing now, but he was trying to protect his people. He was trying to protect everyone.
Against pornography and all that
Against-
illicit stuff.
I couldn't believe it.
No,
And,
Pornhub is owned by,
yeah, everything has been
yeah, everything's owned by them. I mean,
the big Z. I
look
call
at
them Z
BlackRock
Nation.
and
It's funny when we start talking about all these different things, there's a common denominator. It all comes back to one thing. It's like control.
It is. You've got to look at who's running the world right now. And I call them, obviously, to try not to get censored and whatever, Z Nation. And, but they argue amongst themselves as well, because there's two different types. But the main ones, they're the ones running. And that's why I don't trust Trump. I don't trust any of them.
Trump hasn't won me over, that's for sure. None of these politicians, these current politicians.
I'm of that same feeling with Andrew Bridgen. I mean, a lot of people say he's a good guy and so on and so forth. I interviewed him in Parliament Square when I was in Parliament Square. I heard him, but I was listening. I don't know how to put it across. I could hear what he was saying, but I wasn't convinced. And was he not part of what was going on before all of a sudden he's come out of the broom cupboard?
You know my take on him, and you know that I'm not in his good books. And last night I done a replay of their Parliament speech yesterday, and at the end of the day, it's very evident that he's a very clever man. He's studied biology, studied virology. He knows, he's mentioned in his own words, the government can't be trusted, the media can't be trusted. He knew in 2014 that he did not have the government's backing on the post office or postal, whatever it was at the time. I can't remember what he mentioned. He knows that they're all corrupt. So, hey ho, would you really trust? He knows that Big Pharma's corrupt because he was talking about a case with thalidomide, which is going back to 1964. He knew all of that. He's not a stupid man.
Yeah.
I do not believe for 1 minute that he didn't know the truth. I think he was part of the theatrical show, the Shakespeare play, and to get the people jabbed. And now he's just doing damage control.
He was part of the whole thing to start off with. He never said a word, and there was a question there. And when you had one jab, then two jabs, and three jabs. I mean,
all they're doing is damage control.
Yeah, of course it was. And I mean, Spears put a good thing in there. Look, got to admit, Hitler was in the money. Most of his speeches makes you wonder.
If you go to Spear, if you go to a guy called Lucas Gage, he's got a channel, Telegram, and you will see the videos that he plays of the man you've just mentioned with Tash. And there's one in particular where you see the subtitles, and honestly, I was so shocked when I heard it.
He kicked out all the bankers, didn't he? He kicked out the bankers.
Yeah, I was very shocked. And obviously, you speak about.
He's like you, James Spear. He uses a lot of BitChute stuff. Because I often see the raccoon when he does in the wake up chat. Because I'd love Laura to go in there to add some stuff of what she does, because she actually is a member. She can go in and join the chat now. She can look in it. And it might broaden her horizon, because there is some really, really good hosts. I mean, like, my mate Dave Witch is on tomorrow night at 9:00 with my mate Mikey Reynolds. Supposed to be meeting them in London next week as a get together, because we haven't seen each other for a little while. And they're absolutely brilliant. And Mikey and Dave are such good guys. And Dave would often do a live during the daytime, and he put the world to rights. Look, we don't always agree with each other. Not all of us agree with everything we say or everything that comes out of our mouths. But there is one common denominator amongst everything we do and say, and it's these fuckers behind us that are controlling everything we do. And another interesting thing what Spears put in about the 20 mile an hour is that they're trying to install it in England like they've done in Wales. Wales is run by a Labour, I think it is Carmarthenshire, is run by a Labour government. And the money they've wasted, I think it was 54 million they wasted on climate change. I mean, where do you find that type of money to waste? Where's the money going to? Where is it being siphoned off to? Because there's potholes in Wales that you can actually drive down, and it's the same right across the country. Go on,
sorry. Well, you talk about money being wasted. Last night when I was listening to the Parliament podcast speaking, well, it was just a sales pitch about who's going to be coming in, who's in it, and talk about the opening up an inquiry in the COVID, whatever pandemic. But there was a mention of 8 billion being given. There was a mention, I can't remember where I wrote it, of another 650 million, 100 and then another 110 million. I'm thinking, no wonder they want to keep people sick and stupid, because it's all about money, isn't it?
Spears just put in the chat, you can put Hitler's name here.
I wasn't sure if we were allowed to say it. I don't want to get anyone into trouble.
I actually think some of these guys, like the Andrew Bridgens, the Trumps and all that, I think they're actually psychologists because they're trying to screw us.
They are. They're part of the plan. They are. All they're doing is they still work for.
It's just kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
On this side. Yeah.
Lovely one for that beautiful metaphor. Kick that bloody can down the road, because that is what they actually do. You know,
but
or better still, pass the buck. Is another
I wouldn't say pass the buck. I think that what it is, you know, you've got collateral damage. We are in a war, whether we like it or not, and there is collateral damage. But what these people don't want is for people to lose faith and hope, and they need to restore confidence in the NHS, in the governments, in everything. So all they're doing is they know that there's going to be lots of collateral damage. There's going to be lots of people losing faith, whatever. They're damage controlling. They know the damage has to be done, but they're going to control the narrative so that they can bring you back in and restore the faith and make you think that they're doing something, that they're on your side.
And we're paying for it all.
Yeah.
We're paying for it all. You know, it's like going to a movie and you're the audience, but you're the victim as well.
Yeah.
Well, we've been building our own prisons.
Yeah.
No, you know, you're paying for everything. These governments are dishing out money and saying, "Oh well, we'll give that much." That's our money anyway.
Yeah.
Who are they to say, you know, we will?
The thing that I hate, James, is like the dealings what I've had in police when I was in London doing some filming not so long ago, and I filmed outside the pen, and one copper, he said to him, he nicked somebody for a breach of the peace. I said to him, whose peace did he breach this copper? He said, he spat at me, sir. And I said, you're talking about a different term of law, assault on persons, rather than breach of the peace and so like that. He didn't like to answer me. He turned around and walked away. You know, and they talk copsplain. I call it copsplain, right? There's a way of explaining something, and there's a way of putting it as a copper. Like, do you understand? And all this malarkey. And they try to get you to contract with them, basically.
They don't even understand.
And you know, the only way to deal with them is just you keep on asking them questions. You know, and that have you noticed about people that are under common law? They just keep on, like, you know, they come and you're under arrest by whose authority?
Yeah.
You know, and then they say, well, we've been told, but who authorized that?
Under arrest for what? Who's the victim? You know, where's the harm, loss, or injury? So on and so forth.
You know, and you keep on asking them questions, and
I do that. I mean, you know, I've been asked to go into police stations for voluntaries, and I've gone there, and I've stood around for an hour and a half, and I turned around and said to the guys in the cells are getting better treatment than me because you are giving them water or hot drinks. I've sat out there for an hour and a half, and you haven't even offered me a sip of water. I said, I'm going to walk out and come back. He said, well, they're on their way. Anyway, when they got there, they arrested me, took me down to the police station, blah, blah, blah. Stood in front of, I read me my rights, stood in front of the desk sergeant. He wanted to ask me questions. I said, did you or did you not read me my rights? I said, the next person I'm going to speak to is the duty solicitor. I have the right to remain silent. And so I said, all you're going to get out from me, no more comment. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to read somebody their rights, then they have to adhere to it. And this is what I'm talking about. They don't even know their own rules because they think by controlling you or words that copsplain or whatever you want to call it, that you are going to comply. And it's the same with the NHS. The NHS is going to, it's like walking on a minefield. You don't know what's going to go off next because the NHS is about control.
It is. I got thrown out of Morrison's 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that. There wasn't a video, but I put a recording, a voice because I actually recorded the whole thing and I got thrown out. It was actually quite entertaining. And I done it because I've had enough of these loyalty cards, you know, store cards, Morrison and Tesco, this, that, and the other. So I saw something that I wanted, and you had to have a Morrison's card to get the discount, which was like £4 off. And I thought, let me have a go. Let me see if I can find a way to have the money off without having the store card. Anyway, it all went wrong. They didn't want to give me the money off, and I said, but that's not fair. I said, that's bribery. Now you're bribing me to give you my data for you to give me a discount when everybody that walks into this shop should be treated equally. So now, you know, this isn't right. So it escalated. Anyway, I wasn't rude. I had it all recorded. I said, well, if I can use someone's card, can I get the discount? The manager, she argued with me. She said, well, yeah, well, that's up to you. But then she obviously got so upset. I was waiting. This lady did offer me her card, and she sent security over to throw me out. And the poor bloke came over to me and he went, you have to leave. And I said, on what grounds? He actually didn't know what to say. And he kept saying to me, I'm sorry, he said, but you need to leave. I said, on what grounds? What grounds are you throwing me out on? He couldn't answer me. I said, because I've done nothing wrong. I said, you know, where is the manager has got the right to make the decision that she said to me, you could ask someone. Then she retracted and said, no, you're blackmailing customers by asking, you're bribing them. I said, what, just like you're doing to us?
Formal contract.
Now, you know, I hope more people are going to start challenging these store cards, because this is what they're doing. Your data is so important. That's why they're bribing you.
You've got a lovely point in that. In there.
Not only that, they got access to what you buy, what you use a lot, you know, and in time, I don't say in my lifetime, but maybe later on, they will bring in where they're saying, oh, you're eating too much, or you're doing this too much.
Oh my God! Don't. I'm going to mention it here now. And people can call me conspiracy theorist, but I've had a new thermostat fitted to my heating. The last one broke, which was 13 years, absolutely fine, but it broke. The guy came, fitted a new one. I've had nothing but problems because the heating will not come on. It comes on in the morning and then it won't come on again, or it comes on. So I had to call him out. And turns out after 2 days of no heating, the day he was coming, it decided to come on. Nothing's changed, nothing's moved. And I said to him, look, blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, we have had a power cut on the island where I live. And he said, maybe that's interfered. And I thought, why would a power cut interfere with my thermostat? Got me thinking. And then I actually got in touch with a few people who said that the new digital thermostats, they are able to turn them off remotely. So what's going to happen is that basically, you know, as we go forward, because everything's turning digital, well, you know, you're using up too much energy. We need to stop you using that. And I truly... Sorry?
You're boiling your kettle too much.
You're boiling your kettle. This is what they're going to end up doing. Yeah. So you are, I mean, I couldn't believe when he said that to me. He said the power cut. I thought, why would that affect? I've not had a power cut. Why would that affect my thermostat? Why is my? So I do believe that they are sending signals out, trying to kill the elderly, freeze them to death.
The years and years ago, you had the Ring of Steel around London when this allegedly the IRA terrorists and things like that. They were frightened that the banking industry or the London city, the square mile would be blown to pieces, so on and so forth. And they came out with a thing where you had policemen standing in little boxes like they do stand outside Buckingham Palace in their little boxes. And they brought out the camera system called the ANPR that was reading the registration numbers and brought the registration numbers out. Now the ANPR has gone beyond anything you would ever believe. Because now from ANPR, they developed facial recognition. You walk down most high streets now, somewhere along the line, somebody's going to walk down that street and it's going to ping the camera like an ANPR camera. It's going to go off that that guy's got a record, or he's wanted for something, or he's
It's going to be awful.
Yeah, it's all about control.
Before you know it, your sat nav that you use on your phone is going to report back to them that you're doing over the speed limit. And you'll get a ticket because of your sat nav.
Not only that, your meter is emitting radiation. Some more.
Well, I'm going to get a new one. I'm actually going to buy my own and put that one, you know, on the.
Dave Witcher, he's all about generating solar panel or whatever.
That's right, he is.
And doing all his own stuff and generating for batteries. And he's done a lot of work, Dave, on doing everything himself, making himself self-sufficient. Let me just tell you quickly before we go, because we're nearly up to time now. We've had to go on because we were a little bit late with the issues, and I apologise for that. That I had somebody phone me up to talking rubbish and about contracts and about whatever it is. And I turned around, they was quoting figures and things like that. So, okay, if you want a contract, if I'm going to allegedly, or if I'm in allegedly a contract, and you want me to contract with you, let's draw up a formal contract. I said, my fees are £1,000 a minute. If you stay on this phone like you normally do for an hour, that'd be £60,000. They put the phone down.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Well, this is it. This is it. We're doing. I've started a law study group, and we are going back to studying the history and the foundation of law, true law, not this administrative law. And so hopefully, because I believe that we do have remedy in our own constitution, which is very similar to the Magna Carta and stuff like that. You've got the original constitution. But so I'm now started a very small group where we're going to be reading chapters of different, what should we call them? They were the heavyweights of the original law that stood for the people. So we're going to be, and I'm quite looking forward to that because I'm enjoying this journey of challenging.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually watching you. And just let me come back to a little thing where you mentioned about the guy with the moustache Hitler. If I've got to be blunt. We mentioned different things. Now, I've been doing some work at Scampton and filming at Scampton. I'm actually there tomorrow because I managed to get the guys some barriers. And I've also got them a generator as well because it's freezing cold. So I managed to get them a generator. If I can help, I would help. And them guys stand out in this freezing cold weather. And they're there for a course of the 2,000 illegal immigrants that are going to go in there. Not refugees, not asylum seekers. They're illegal immigrants that's going to go in there.
Yeah.
And they've already put a list out of all the different groups and all the different ethnics and all the different countries they're coming from, and it's going to be bedlam there. They're going to be killing each other inside there, and it's going to be absolutely mayhem for the people that are going to be there. But you notice all these places, none of them are English. They're all either manned by foreigners or whatever the case might be. And it just beggars me to believe, but that heritage centre where the Dam Busters were and Guy Gibson and the dog, the Black Labrador, was called Nigger. There was an operation in the Rhine where the Dam Busters were going to go off, and one of them operations was called Nigger. It was a code name for seeing it, right? So that they used there. Yet if we say the word, we're racist. And that one word, you become a racist. This Black Lives Matter, another thing we can talk about, and what it's done, the Floyd George, and everything else that comes to mind. Yet black people can call each other niggers, and there's no racist element of it at all. I just do not understand the way we've gone.
I went to school in I actually went to school with Stephen Lawrence. So we were in the same class. He was a friend of mine. He was a good guy. My school was
state there. It was like a concrete jungle.
What? So he was the school I went to was at the time. I mean, God, I'm going back to 1986. Was very multicultural, if that's the right word. And a lot of my friends were black. And I grew up very much in a very sort of West Indian, African, Jamaican environment. I had lots of good friends. And honestly, I was shocked because I hate racism. I hate racism. I do not do racism. To me, I value what's inside. I don't care what, your skin color, your religion, whatever. It's more important what's in here. But I was very shocked at how racist they are amongst themselves. And my best friend was black, and she would not date anyone who was darker than her. And she was Jamaican. She wouldn't date an African. I was like, are you guys kidding me? And she was the one that told me the most racist jokes. I was like, do you realise I wouldn't be able to say that?
My children were going to school in Zimbabwe, and 95% of the class was black. Yeah. And then there was Asians as well and mixed race. And, they came here. And you know how racially abused they were, just because of their accent. And
Yeah, absolutely.
even a black guy turned around to my son one day and said, "When are you going to piss off back to Africa where you're from?"
My sister
I
looks
fell over
Jamaican.
laughing. And then I thought,
Yeah.
oh, hold on, maybe my son's going through a few mental issues with this.
It's
So I
very,
said,
very sad.
I
I
said,
just
"Did
want
you ask him?"
I want to answer Sophia. Has Laura seen Sabrina Wallace? I scream about Sabrina Wallace. I think she's amazing, absolutely amazing. If you guys haven't heard of Sabrina Wallace, she's just brilliant. So yes, I have, and I've shared some of her stuff. I've watched some of her stuff, and I absolutely love it. But when you're new to her, you really do need to watch it quite a few times to understand what she's talking about. But she's all about our energy field and the fact that we are being fried, we are being electrocuted, and that's why
Oh,
we're
we're
getting
electric,
ill.
aren't we? We're electricity
Yeah.
ourselves. So, yeah.
All right, I hope you get a bit more involved with Wake Up and get involved in the chat, because you are, remember, you can come in and you can look in the chat. You can see what James puts in there on a daily, and a few other guys, what Spear puts in there, what Sophia puts in the chat as well. And you might meet some mutual minded people, which you know, with Dave, James, myself, and you know these guys. So this platform is about like-minded people like ourselves. I've got to go and say, unfortunately, we come to the end of our time. Laura, thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for
Thank you. Nice to meet you, James.
Nice
And
to
thank
meet
you
you.
to everyone
Brilliant.
in the chat.
Thank you, James. You're
Right.
always welcome. I'm on every Wednesday while Jeremy Paul is recovering, and I might revert back to Tuesday nights on Behind Closed Doors. But I'm still doing the show for Jeremy while Jeremy's off. Another brilliant guy who speaks how it is. Done a video. I'll put it up on my wall. Absolutely brilliant. 2.5 hours. Absolutely. Jeremy Paul does speak well. And he talks about everything that we've touched on. And we squeezed so much. We squeezed that sponge so dry tonight. We managed to get so much out of it. And there's not a drop of water left. So thank you, everyone. Thank you all. Thank you, the chat, all the guys in the chat. Sophia, love you a bit, Sophia. Spearthrower, I don't know about you. But Roy, Charles, everybody's actually been in the chat. I can't scroll right through it. I don't want to even touch anything in case I mess up like I did earlier. But thank you, everyone. And I have to say, James, Laura, thank you. And good night, everybody.
All right. Thanks to Sophia as well.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.